You wake up cold, not forgot to close the window cold, survival cold. The kind that reminds you that if the fire went out during the night, you might not wake up at all. You're lying on dirt, maybe some animal hides if you're lucky. The air smells like smoke, wet stone, and something you killed 2 days ago that's starting to turn. Welcome to your life as a Paleolithic human. No alarm clock, no coffee, no morning scroll through your phone. Just one question that defines your entire existence. Will I eat today? Because here's what most people don't understand about prehistoric life. It wasn't an adventure. It was a sustained crisis with occasional moments of relief. And today, like every day, your survival depends on 1,000 small decisions, any one of which could kill you. Let's walk through what a single day actually looked like for someone living 30,000 years ago. The first thing you do isn't stretch or check the weather. You check if anyone died during the night. Infant mortality was catastrophic. Infections, hypothermia, predators, all of these were constant threats. If everyone's breathing, that's already a win. Next, the fire. Fire isn't optional. It's the difference between life and death. It keeps you warm, it keeps predators away. It lets you cook food, which makes nutrients easier to absorb and kills parasites that would otherwise wreck your digestive system. But here's the thing about fire in the Paleolithic. You can't just flick a lighter. If your fire went out overnight, you're spending the next hour trying to restart it by friction, rubbing sticks together, striking flint and pyrite to create sparks, hoping dried moss catches. And if it doesn't work, you're traveling to the nearest group that does have fire and hoping they're willing to share. Because fire was wealth. Lose it and you've lost one of your most valuable resources.
Once the fire is secured, the next priority is food. And this is where modern people completely misunderstand prehistoric life. You've probably heard the term hunter-gatherer and assumed it was 50-50. It wasn't. For most Paleolithic groups, gathering provided 60 to 80% of calories. Hunting was high risk, high reward, inconsistent, dangerous. Gathering was reliable. So the women, children, and some men head out early to forage. And gathering wasn't a casual stroll picking berries. It was botanical expertise under pressure. You need to know which plants are edible and which will kill you, which roots can be dug up this time of year, where the nut trees are and whether animals have already raided them, which insects are safe to eat, because yes, you're eating insects. You're carrying woven baskets or hide pouches. You're constantly scanning for danger, because while you're gathering, you're also being hunted. Big cats, bears, hyenas. You're not the apex predator yet. You're middle management in the food chain. And every moment outside the safety of the group is a calculated risk. Meanwhile, some of the group's strongest members have gone hunting. But hunting in the Paleolithic wasn't sitting in a tree stand with a rifle. It was endurance warfare. Humans aren't fast. We're not strong compared to the animals we hunt, but we can outlast almost anything. The strategy? Persistence hunting. You track an animal, maybe a deer, maybe an antelope, and you chase it, not in a sprint, in a jog, for hours. The animal runs, stops, overheats, runs again. You keep jogging. Eventually, the animal collapses from exhaustion and heat stroke. Then you kill it, with a spear or stones, or by hand if necessary. It's brutal, it's exhausting, and it doesn't always work. Sometimes the animal escapes, sometimes it fights back and wins. Hunting wasn't a glory activity, it was a desperation activity. You did it because the group needed protein and fat to survive the winter. And if you succeeded, you're dragging a 150-pound carcass back to camp over miles of rough terrain. No cart, no horse, just your body.
Let's say the hunt was successful. Now comes the part nobody thinks about: processing the kill. You can't just throw a dead deer on a fire and call it dinner. First, you need to butcher it. Using stone tools, sharp flakes of flint or obsidian, you cut through hide, separate muscle, crack bones for marrow. Nothing gets wasted. The meat gets cooked or dried for preservation. The bones become tools or get boiled for broth. The hide becomes clothing, shelter, or bags. The sinew becomes thread. Even the stomach lining can be used as a water container. You're not consuming, you're manufacturing. Every part of that animal represents hours of additional labor to turn it into survival tools. And this work, it's mostly done by everyone: men, women, teens, elders. Paleolithic survival wasn't about rigid gender roles. It was about brutal efficiency. If you could contribute, you did. If there's no active hunting or foraging happening, the group shifts into maintenance. And maintenance in the Stone Age meant making tools. Your stone knife doesn't last forever. It chips, it dulls. So you're sitting on the ground, striking stones together, trying to create sharp flakes with clean edges. This is called knapping, and it's harder than it looks. Hit the stone wrong and it shatters. Hit it right and you get a blade sharp enough to slice through hide. You're also repairing shelters, branches, hides, mud, making cordage from plant fibers for traps, nets, and bindings, tanning hides, scraping off flesh and fat, treating with brain matter or urine to soften the leather, carving bone into needles, fish hooks, or beads. None of this is optional. If your tools break and you haven't prepared backups, you're vulnerable.
As the sun sets, the group gathers around the fire. This is one of the most important moments of the day, not just because of warmth or safety, but because of storytelling. Anthropologists believe that language and culture were born around campfires. This is where knowledge gets passed down. Which plants are poisonous, where the migration routes of animals are, how to read weather patterns, stories about ancestors, spirits, and the world. Children listen, adults teach, elders share wisdom. This is your education system. No writing, no books, just memory and repetition. And this is also where social bonds are reinforced. Humans survived not because we were the strongest or fastest. We survived because we cooperated, sharing food, protecting each other, coordinating hunts. The evening fire is where trust gets built, where disputes get settled, where alliances form. You don't go to bed in the Paleolithic. You try to survive the night. The fire is kept burning, not just for warmth, but because it keeps animals away. Someone stays awake, rotating watch, because the darkness is full of threats. Predators hunt at night. Rival human groups might raid. Injuries can worsen without warning. Sleep is light, interrupted. You're lying close to others for warmth. The smell is intense: smoke, sweat, unwashed bodies, curing hides. But you're alive, and that's the win. Here's the part that makes all of this even more intense. If you made it to 15, you might live to 50. But that's a big if. Infant and child mortality was brutal. Maybe 40–50% of children didn't make it to age 5. Infections, malnutrition, accidents, predators. If you survived childhood, you were tough. But even then, a broken bone could be a death sentence. An infected cut could kill you. There were no second chances. So what was a day in the life of a caveman actually like? It was nothing like the cartoons. It wasn't sitting around clubs and fire, grunting at each other. It was constant labor, constant vigilance, constant problem solving. You weren't just surviving, you were engineering survival. Making tools, processing food, building shelters, teaching children, navigating social dynamics, avoiding predators, every single day. And yet, somehow, humans didn't just survive, we thrived. We created art, we buried our dead with care, we made jewelry, we told stories. Even in the harshest conditions imaginable,
we found ways to be human. So the next time you complain about your morning commute or your Wi-Fi being slow, just remember, your ancestors woke up in the dirt, wondered if they'd eat that day, and still found time to paint on cave walls. That's the species you come from. If you enjoyed this journey all the way back to the caveman days and want to see more videos like this, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.